Welcome back to White or Black. Today's video is called Here and There. I don't know how many of you guys believe in outer body experience, but this is an account of an experience I had back in my late teens. Kind of a strange story. So let's get on with this here, and we'll share this occurrence that I had and see what you guys think about it. So, growing up in a small town, had a lot of unconventional ideas, for entertainment, ways to pass the time. And on this particular evening, a group of friends of mine, we were all hanging out and at a friend's house, and they had this idea, and it wasn't like it was an idea that we hadn't done before. On this particular evening, though, I didn't have any interest in following suit, so I just kind of hung back with a few other friends there at the house, and the rest of this group of friends of mine decided they were gonna walk out it's probably about a mile or so outside of town to a cemetery. And this is a private cemetery out here in the middle of nowhere. It's a private cemetery. It's kind of hidden away from public view. It's hidden in the trees, and if you didn't know it was there, you'd never find it. But anyway, they decided to proceed out to this cemetery, and long walk. No problems there. Everybody having a good time. Middle of the night, and they went out there having a good time. So upon arriving there at the cemetery, going out past the fence and walking out through the trees and finding it, I don't know, what all they were doing as they were there, but as they decided to leave, there's this big wall around it, rock wall. They went back outside of the cemetery, and they were getting ready to leave. And outside the cemetery, one of them had noticed they was hearing something, and what they was hearing was what they described as almost like a growling noise. And they kept hearing this, and it kind of spooked them. And obviously, funny enough, it wasn't just them that was spooked, because they had an encounter in between trying to get back out of the cemetery and this and that, where it had spooked something else. And they didn't describe it as like an animal growl. They couldn't really describe it. So, but lo and behold, one of them had stated that the deer came running through, and they were about trampled by deer, and everybody was kind of panicked and wondering, wow, okay, there is something out in the trees. And so, once it was safe to do so with the animals and everything else, they proceeded back to the highway and began making their way back towards town. Granted in a faster pace probably than what they were coming out. And the wildlife was acting strange. Something had spooked them, and they continued up the highway. Well, upon heading back to town, at one point they had described seeing something, almost like a white visage, if you may, a white personage they saw it up the highway, and they thought, okay, that's kind of weird. They described it as like glowing, and the closer they got to it, this thing had kind of started floating off and up the mountainside, and they swore that it was like beckoning to them, like to follow it. They didn't describe it as, like a good feeling though. And lo and behold, it got weirder and weirder. And Upon going back to town, here's where it gets really strange. I had not went, but one of my female friends that was there said I reached out for her and beckoned her and was practically dragging her back to town. I took her by the hand and was leading her along, and was bringing her back to town. And so as they got back to town and this and that, everybody was still kind of spooked, but they were happy enough to have made it back safely. And from that point, when they got back to the house, we were all drinking and this and that, and had begun discussing it. And she had mentioned this to me, and we sat amongst ourselves, and she had mentioned this and that about me pulling her back to town. And she swears it was me. And we sat together and discussed it, and I explained, it's like, I didn't go with you. And that's where the moment of bewilderment came in, because she realized that she got back home and I was already there, but somehow she said I was there and I was dragging her along back to safety. Now, in the time frame that they were gone, I don't remember a lot of that in that spell. I was there, but it's like I wasn't there. And here's where it's really strange, because I have memory and like a visual memory of being there, being present. And I could see everything she was describing like I was there, but I was never there. So that's a little strange. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you believe it's possible to have an out-of-body experience and be fully awake? Do you believe that there's other things out there? And when you have, friends that may be in potential danger, that you can separate yourself unknowingly, unconsciously, to provide protection for, your said friends. It's a very, very strange thing I had experienced, and I don't remember ever having another experience like this. But on this particular instance, that's where it's really strange, because physically, even though I was not physically there, it was described to me that I was physically there, and I have memories of both places, but at the one place where I physically was, I kind of had a blank, loss of memory, like I wasn't there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I cannot express how grateful I am to everyone's support. I hope you guys continue to check back with the channel. I hope you share this video with others that have common interests. I appreciate everyone's support, so be sure to hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe and share it with anybody who may have common interests. Until next time, we'll see you on the next video.